June 6, 1944. Early morning, dawn breaks over the coast of Normandy, but far from the sound of waves and gunfire, the world feels strangely still. Deep inside Hitler's headquarters, the air is heavy and quiet. Lamps glow softly, maps lie flat, radios hum with low static. Adolf Hitler is asleep. Outside, history is already moving. Along the French coast, the sea is no longer empty. Shapes emerge through the mist. Hundreds, then thousands of Allied ships fill the horizon. Landing craft cut through the water. Aircraft roar overhead. Paratroopers fall from the sky. On the beaches of Normandy, men are about to die by the thousands. Inside German headquarters, reports begin to arrive. Airborne landings behind the lines. Naval bombardment along the coast. Enemy troops sighted. The words are urgent, but the reaction is not. Officers hesitate. No one raises their voice, no one runs, no one wakes the Führer. Because for months they have been told this would happen. Normandy, they believe, is only a distraction. The real invasion will come somewhere else. German intelligence has been certain of this for a very long time. Not for days, not for weeks, for months. Carefully built reports have shaped a picture so convincing that it feels unquestionable. The Allies will strike where the distance is shortest, where the ports are closest, where Germany can be hit fastest. The Pas-de-Calais. Every report agrees. Every source confirms it. Every detail fits. This confidence does not come from one message or one spy. It comes from a system that believes it understands the enemy completely. A system that has been reassured again and again by intelligence that feels solid, consistent, and precise. At the center of this confidence is a man known only by a code name, Garbo. His reports have never failed. For nearly 2 years, he has delivered exactly what Berlin needed: clarity. His intelligence arrives neatly structured, rich with detail, calm in tone. It explains Allied movements before they happen. It confirms German expectations instead of challenging them. And because of that, it becomes trusted. Garbo does not shout, he does not warn, he reassures. He tells them what they already believe. So when the first reports from Normandy arrive, no one panics. The intelligence has already explained this moment. Normandy is meant to draw German forces away. The real blow is still coming. Calais remains the true objective. This belief does not feel like hope. It feels like certainty. The war room is dominated by maps. France, Belgium, the Channel Coast. Colored pins mark divisions and reserves. Lines trace potential invasion routes. Everything appears controlled, measured, prepared. Normandy is marked, but only lightly. A concern, not a crisis. North of it, the pins grow dense. At Calais, the 15th Army waits. 19 divisions, 150,000 men. Germany's strongest force in the West, fully armed, fully prepared, and completely still. They have been told to wait, to hold position, to be ready for the real invasion. So they do nothing. As new reports arrive, officers glance at Normandy, then look back to Calais. The map does not change. And because the map does not change, neither do the orders. Urgency fades into routine. Certainty replaces doubt. Along the beaches, the situation escalates rapidly. At Omaha, American troops are pinned down by machine gun fire. Bodies pile against steel obstacles. At Utah, soldiers push inland faster than expected. British and Canadian forces land at Golden Juno. Airborne units secure bridges and crossroads behind German lines. The invasion does not slow. It expands. Numbers climb with every hour. Tens of thousands ashore. Hundreds of ships offshore. Endless aircraft overhead. Each update is worse than the last, yet nothing changes. Every new report is absorbed, acknowledged, and set aside. The assumption remains intact. Normandy is only the opening move. The real attack is still coming elsewhere. The Allies want Germany to overreact. They want reserves pulled south. Berlin will not fall for it, so the response stays the same. Wait. The reason no one acts is not cowardice. It is structure. Hitler is asleep, and no one dares wake him without absolute certainty. His generals wait for permission. Field commanders hesitate to act independently. Responsibility dissolves upward, and initiative disappears downward. Everyone is waiting for someone else to decide. And above all, they are waiting for intelligence to confirm what they already believe. The system rewards obedience, not questions. Officers who follow intelligence are safe. Officers who challenge it risk everything. And because the intelligence has always been right before, no one wants to be the first to doubt it now. In this system, belief becomes stronger than evidence. So even as Normandy burns, the German command remains frozen. Not because they cannot see the reports, but because they trust them too much. Still, beneath the surface, something begins to shift. A junior officer studies the numbers a little too long. Another notices the scale of the landings feel different. The amount of air power, the coordination, the speed. This does not look like a diversion. Quiet questions appear, spoken softly, almost apologetically. Could this be larger than expected? Could this be more than a feint? The questions go unanswered. For months, certain patterns had been ignored. Bombing campaigns, railway targets, infrastructure destruction focused heavily on Normandy. At the time, intelligence explained it away. Preparation for a distraction, nothing more. Now those patterns return to memory, uncomfortably, but belief is still stronger than doubt. And so the reports continue. The landings grow. The casualties mount. The situation worsens. Yet the orders remain unchanged. Because if Normandy is real, then everything else has been wrong. And no one is ready to accept that. Not yet. Something is wrong. Everyone can feel it. But no one is ready to say it out loud. By mid-morning on June 6th, the tone inside German headquarters begins to change. Not dramatically, not loudly, but subtly. Confidence does not shatter all at once. It erodes. Numbers start arriving. Cold, precise, impossible to ignore. Reports list ships offshore by the thousands. Aircraft filling the sky. Men landing faster than German estimates ever allowed for. Production figures surface, quietly compared against reality. Allied factories have been working without pause. Landing craft, tanks, trucks, aircraft, more than Germany believed possible. This is not the scale of a diversion. For the first time, a dangerous thought forms in the room. If the Allies can deploy this much force here, then perhaps deception was never necessary. Perhaps they were strong enough to land wherever they wanted. The realization does not bring clarity, it brings silence. Maps remain on the table. Pins remain in place, but the certainty behind them begins to fade. No one speaks. No one argues. The room fills with the uncomfortable weight of numbers that no longer fit the story they were meant to support. While doubt grows in Berlin, time is bleeding away in Normandy. Orders finally begin to move, but too slowly. Armored divisions are told to mobilize. Panzer units begin their journey toward the front. They move at night to avoid Allied aircraft. They hide in forests. They detour around destroyed bridges and cratered roads. Every mile costs them time. Every hour costs them tanks. Allied air power controls the sky completely. Columns are spotted, bombed, scattered. Vehicles burn before they ever see combat. What should have been a rapid counterattack becomes a crawling, exhausted advance. By the time the first German armor reaches Normandy, the beachheads are no longer fragile. They are reinforced, connected, protected by overwhelming firepower. The window to throw the Allies back into the sea is closing, and no one can stop it now. Then comes the message that changes everything. It does not arrive with explosions or sirens. It arrives quietly, placed on a desk, passed hand to hand. A report, decoded and typed, stating something unthinkable. Patton's army has not moved. At first, this means nothing. Patton is expected to strike later. He is still part of the plan, still the threat everyone fears. Then another detail emerges. His army group no longer exists. Confusion ripples through the room. Questions are asked. Clarifications demanded. More information arrives, and with it, the truth begins to surface. The tanks seen in England were inflatable. The landing craft were made of wood and canvas. The radio traffic was scripted. Actors read messages into microphones, creating the illusion of an army that was never real. There was no second invasion coming. There never was. The room goes cold. Some officers stare at the floor. Others laugh, not from humor, but from shock. Months of certainty collapse in seconds. The strategy they built their defense around dissolves into nothing. The phantom army vanishes, and with it, any remaining hope of reversing what has already begun. Attention turns to a single name, Garbo. The reports are reviewed again, this time with different eyes. 47 messages. Every one of them pointing to Calais. Everyone reinforcing the same conclusion. Everyone trusted without question. And now, for the first time, the truth behind the name is revealed. Juan Pujol Garcia. Not a master spy, not a trained operative. An ordinary man, a civilian. Someone with no military background and no formal intelligence training. He did not infiltrate Germany through force or brilliance. He walked in through belief. He invented sources, dozens of them, dock workers, clerks, students, entire networks that never existed. He fed German intelligence a mixture of truth and fiction, carefully balanced, perfectly timed. At first, he gave them accuracy, just enough to earn trust. Then he gave them reassurance. Over time, his reports became indispensable. German intelligence did not just trust him, they depended on him, because their own ability to see the enemy had collapsed. Allied air superiority blinded reconnaissance. Agents were captured or turned. Garbo became the last reliable window into Britain. And when he spoke, no one questioned him, not because he was perfect, but because he told them exactly what they wanted to hear. In the aftermath, the questions come too late. Why were his sources never verified? Why was no one sent to confirm them? Why was contradiction never considered? The answers are uncomfortable, because contradiction creates uncertainty, and uncertainty creates responsibility. Belief is easier. One intelligence officer will later summarize it simply. They did not lose because they were deceived. They lost because they wanted to be deceived. The lie did not defeat them. Their need for certainty did. Garbo did not force them to believe. He merely gave shape to beliefs they already held, and they built their entire defense around it. By the time this truth settles in, Normandy has transformed. What began as scattered landings has become a continuous front. Reinforcements arrive by the hour. Supplies flow uninterrupted. Ports are secured. Airfields are built. The Allied presence is no longer temporary, it is permanent. German reserves, when finally released, arrive too late and in pieces. They fight hard, but timing has already decided the outcome. Strength no longer matters. Opportunity is gone. The war in the West is effectively decided. It will take months to end, but the direction can no longer be changed. In the days that follow, the German command grows quiet, not with confidence, with realization. Maps are still updated, but they no longer reflect reality. Orders are issued to units that cannot move. Strategies are formed around forces that no longer exist. The gap between belief and truth widens until it can no longer be bridged. And at the center of it all is a simple lesson, carved into history. Wars are not only fought with weapons, they are fought with ideas, with assumptions, with the stories people tell themselves about the world. The most effective deception is not the one that hides the truth. It is the one that confirms belief. On June 6, 1944, Germany believed the wrong thing. Not because the evidence was flawless, but because the lie was comfortable. By the time Hitler understood that truth, the war was already lost. Not on the beaches, but in the mind. If this story changed how you see war, intelligence, or belief itself, take a moment to think about how often history turns on what people choose to accept as truth. If you want more stories like this, where the real battle happens before the first shot is fired, like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Because history doesn't repeat itself. It waits for us to believe the wrong thing again.